What are we talking about today?
Some little known show on a little known platform by a little known company called The Mandalorian.
Love it. Welcome to Was It Good, the podcast that reviews movies and TV shows. Today we are talking Mandalorian Season 3. I'm Ravi, joined by my two brothers,
Arjuna.
Krishna.
and our producer,
Michael.
and we are Was It Good.
And we are
Nailed
Was
it.
It Good?
And we are Was It Good?
I actually forgot we did that. That was
It's-
the three of you guys got it. I messed that up.
This is a thing you've been doing the longest out of everybody.
It's true, and I forgot this time.
Wow. Is that because The Mandalorian was such a impactful, deep thingamajiggy that you're distracted with all the emotions and things that you've felt watching that?
I'm actually just distracted by our new set here. Just
Wow.
the beauty of it all, and it was just taken aback. I was like,
Yeah, that ethereal light coming in
Yeah, exactly.
from that right
Ethereal
side there.
light.
It's like,
yeah.
ah.
I like new things.
It's because I was so inspired by the Pope's Exorcist that I really wanted to brighten things up.
You wanted to make that our swan song.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yes.
I want to know when you're going to buy the Pope Exorcist action figure to put on that shelf behind you there.
I'm not gonna lie, I did take a look to see if like the Sideshow Collectible, which is one of the bigger like premium format companies I like. I was like, oh, maybe they got some license. I don't know. I mean,
didn't, though.
Nobody has.
Oh, for the
nobody.
Pope's Exorcist. That would
I'm
be
sure you could
wild.
find like an artist on Etsy to 3D print you something.
I mean, I have a 3D printer. I could do it, but
So you should.
I'm not a very good 3D
He
print person.
even has like that pole thing that he holds at the end of the movie. So like it's a cool action figure with like a staff weapon thing.
I would only want that if his like Vespa was a part of it with his glasses and everything.
Ooh, yeah,
That would
yeah.
be
But we're not talking about the Pope's Exorcist.
No, we are really on a tangent here. We're talking Mandalorian Season 3. It's all obviously done. 9 episodes?
8.
8 episodes of glorious Star Wars conflict.
They're gonna say content.
yeah. The content would have been
Things happened.
a word.
It's content.
There was content.
How would you guys describe your experience in one word? Krishna, how would you wrap it up in
Ooh.
one single word? Like your one word impression.
Ooh.
My one word impression is going to be armor.
Oh, wow.
So I was thinking this last episode, the finale, had me thinking that when the show was first announced, you hear the word Mandalorian. Mandalorians, they're well known for their armor. It's the most iconic thing about them. And so you probably imagined when the show was announced that you're going to get tons of people in armor fighting the Empire in armor, and it's going to be armor everywhere. And that finale finally realized the vision of every, like, the child in all of us of what we wanted, which is just a bunch of guys in armor fighting each other. And the vision was finally realized in the season 3 finale. So we had the Praetorian Guard, we had obviously the Mandalorians, both sects. We had the jetpack troopers. We had Moff Gideon and his, crazy looking dark trooper prototype armor. So there's a lot of armor, and the child in me was happy about that.
So it's interesting that you brought up, you made 2 interesting points. I'll do the polite positive one first, and then I'll roast you. The first one,
Good.
the first one, I think it's interesting you said like, oh, the child in us that wanted to see all this armor or whatever. I saw a lot of people being like, oh, we finally got live action Clone Wars, the TV series. Because you remember there are 2 main arcs in the Clone Wars series. I think it's like season 5 when Maul first takes Mandalore, and there's the start of the Death Watch internal civil war. And, there's that amazing shot where Obi opens up the hangar door and you've got Mandalorians beating the shit out of each other, shit exploding, and like just all out chaos. And then obviously the final arc of the Clone Wars series when they actually take Mandalore with Ahsoka, and there's that, again, clone troopers coming in, Death Watch folks and Mandalorians, just all out chaos and war and everything. So, I think it's to your point, like, it's great. We got what we've always wanted, which is like just big ass epic battles. The other thing that you brought up though was like the title of the show, The Mandalorian, because this season, I think a lot of people were not conflicted, but a lot of people were in like essentially two camps where it's like the show's called The Mandalorian isn't supposed to be about Din Djarin and his struggles of being a Mandalorian. And a lot of people are, would argue, no, it's about the Mandalorian people, because obviously the main kind of focus this season being Bo-Katan. I guess the question I have for you is like, I remember when I first heard of the Mandalorian and the show, and Christian, you and I were at the Celebration panel where Pedro Pascal, I'm pretty sure, was on something. Dave and John was the first time we saw them basically circle jerk each other. It was a very awkward panel, but really interesting.
It was fun.
But I remember like in that panel when I saw that, I was like, oh, the Mandalorian is Din. Like that was my association. That's always, and that's still to a degree my association. How do you, when you first started, I guess, were you looking more as like the people or more as a person?
It's good. It's a good question because I think for most of us, it's probably evolved, right? So I'm right there with you when we first saw that teaser at Celebration. It's definitely like, this guy is the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian are a broken, scattered people like the Empire. We're following this one lone ranger through this Western type of landscape or this Western style type of storytelling. So that's exactly what I thought it was going to be. But I think here we are at the end of season 3, and the term The Mandalorian is much broader now. I think when we did our season opening pod for season 3 of The Mandalorian, I think I said, this is Grogu's story now, and this Grogu is the Mandalorian that we're following. Very quickly, though, this season is very Bo-Katan centric. So perhaps it's just every season is going to be a slightly different focus on a slightly different Mandalorian.
I do wonder if there was like an original idea that this was a kind of anthology show where each season followed a different Mandalorian, and maybe that's how we ended up with like the Book of Boba Fett. Like, was that supposed to maybe initially be season 2 of The Mandalorian, and then like season 3 was supposed to be Bo-Katan's story, and then et cetera, and maybe you But you had these characters kind of all interweaving and whatnot. But maybe like Din and Grogu became so popular that maybe changed the idea and the thinking of it. I mean, honestly, only the creators know. But I did wonder that a lot watching this season because it did, as Christian said, feel like Din and Grogu were sidelined for large swaths of the season.
I think you're absolutely right. I get the impression now, especially here in season 3, where I think the popularity and I think it's Grogu specifically, this Baby Yoda thing, probably did change the trajectory and the storytelling of the show, maybe. And like you said, only the storytellers will know that, and they probably won't admit it for a while. But it's a good question. Yeah,
I'd also like to interject a little off topic, but his name is Djarin. As we learned in the finale here, because Din is a title.
I thought it was his surname.
I thought
Din Grogu is Grogu's new name,
right?
And so
Din
Grogu,
could be surname, right?
Surnames usually come second, but maybe Mandalorian does it different.
Yeah.
I mean, but do you guys have any evidence or knowledge to whether that's a surname or a title?
Nope.
Just how I don't know about hyperdrives and how they work. I don't know how surnames work in Star Wars.
The Holdo maneuver.
Seems like a good place for me to look something up.
Juno, your one-word impression for Mandalorian.
I'm going to go with uneven. I thought this season was pretty uneven week to week, right? I thought there were some good episodes. I thought there were episodes that didn't make as much sense or didn't flow.
Name at least
well.
2.
Episode 3.
Which one was
5,
that? What was that one?
Episode 7.
Wait, what was episode 3?
Episode 3 was the Dr. Pershing episode.
That's my favorite episode.
Which I did like that episode, but I think now when you look at the context of the whole show, it feels a little
out of place.
Out of place, and maybe like, do I wish they had used some of that time to maybe spend more time with like Din and Grogu? Yes. Right? Because it did feel, again, in the context of the whole show, that these main characters were sidelined for a large swath of it. And I think that was the longest episode of the season, of the series in general. And while I did find that portrait very illuminating, like we didn't actually return to Pershing the rest of the season.
We did get flashbacks. Well, last times. So
Yeah.
Not even a flashback; it's a recap.
last time, yeah, we got recaps.
Yeah,
of it,
and I think this is where, like, as we've talked about many times on this podcast over the years, the like franchising of these types of things, where that was an episode that felt like we're going to add context to this time period in particular. Is that going to pay off in this show? Not necessarily, but we're trying to world build, and this is building a larger picture, right? That episode really illuminated this is what's going on with the New Republic, and and maybe it does pay off in future seasons, right? We know that, spoiler alert, Din Djarin is pseudo-ish working for the New Republic at the end, right? He's going to start taking bounties for them. Maybe we see some more of the fall of the New Republic. But at least within this season and this context, we didn't necessarily get that payoff. We didn't necessarily need the 50-plus minutes with the Doctor and everything. So, I did enjoy that episode, but I think within the context of the show, it doesn't necessarily work. And there were just different moments of that where you were going week to week, and I wasn't sure as a viewer, like, where was this show going and who are we spending time with, and there were things that felt better and looked better. I think like the episode with the like the dragon thing where it steals the
In the first
foundlings.
episode?
No, episode 4. That was the sea creature in the first episode. But I think episode 4 where you get the Din flashback with Keller and Beck. You also had the subplot of the foundling being taken by the like dragon bird thing that they kind of chase, and like that was an episode that part I didn't necessarily like right, like the CGI looked pretty bad in that episode. Some of that stuff didn't work for me, and it was just an uneven season. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. I felt like.
So did you like the Lizzo and Jack Black episode?
That was jarring as well. Like that was a little like I like having like really big name actors cameo. I think in any type of popular franchise can always be a little jarring, and especially like Jack Black and Lizzo and even Christopher Lloyd are like very well known people in specific roles and in specific professions that they are. Right, Lizzo is a very famous singer. Christopher Lloyd is known as the Doc. Jack Black is Jack Black.
Jack Black is known as Jack Black.
He is like when he's in something, right? He's it's very obvious, and I think to have like all three of those people in one episode, I was a little taken out of that episode in particular because I'm like, that's Jack Black, that's Lizzo, that's the Doc, throughout the whole thing, and I kind of lost the thread of that plot of the droid rights and whatnot.
The droid rights.
It's not droid rights.
I agree with you, and it's sad because I've been wanting like a droid uprising element in Star Wars for a while. I've been calling for that for a long time. I'm like, it's a very obvious thing that needs to happen in Star Wars at some point. The droids are sick of being second-class slaves to their sentient species overlords or whatever. They need to uprise, and we got a little bit of that here, and I was like, oh, it's kind of a joke in this world, I guess.
Yeah, but again, like those episodes, like episode 3, 5, and 7. I mean, again, because a lot of people seem to have issues with those, and like to a degree, I understand your comment of it being uneven. But again, like I like the idea that they did something different this season. Like season 2 was very much your D&D style quest. The quest. And yes, while that kind of helps because it's leading from one thing to the next, I like these episodes because it breaks it up, and then it also adds again to the world building aspect of Star Wars, right? Which Andor, does I think really, really well.
I guess for me, the thing that it just didn't pay off, right? Like it did, like with that episode, that third episode in particular, with this droid rights episode, it like didn't necessarily have the impact that made it feel like it was all part of a larger story that's being contained.
But it did. They got Axe, and the Mandalorian ships and everything at the end. So it worked out. So it's all tied in. There you go. You're welcome.
It adds texture to the world and makes the galaxy feel a little less small.
There we go.
It didn't do that for me.
Well, you're wrong.
Oh, okay.
There's the door.
Oh, all right. Well,
Get out.
Okay, it's a good pod. See you guys.
Oh, we'll still go.
You've seen the Mario movie, correct?
I have, yes.
Jack Black's performance in Mandalorian versus Bowser. Which do you prefer?
Bowser.
Okay, sure. There we go. So basically, what it really comes down to is you just don't like Jack Black's face.
No, that's not it.
It
was just a weird episode where they had, again, 3 big name performers all cameoing at the same time. I mean, it was just a little overload for me. I was like, everywhere I turn, there's a cameo here. There was a cameo in this finale that also threw me off. Dave Filoni with his stupid hat in the bar. I'm like, what? That's him.
But that was
right
his
there.
second one of the season.
Yeah, but that one, but you know, it was.
But you have to know what Filoni looks like.
True. And yeah, only I think weirdos know
You've
what Dave
just
Filoni
outed
looks
yourself as a super nerd.
It's fine. It's still jarring.
I missed it. When did
at
he
the very
appear?
end
At
when
the bar.
Mando and Grogu end up at the bar.
The Rebel bar or the New
Yeah.
Republic bar.
He was in there?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
on the left. He's wearing his signature
As
cowboy
long
hat.
with
Totally
Rick,
missed it.
a couple of the other directors as well.
Yeah, there's
are
like
just
a group of
sitting
them
out
on the
there.
left side of the bar because it's like that U shape, and they're on the left side.
And basically, I think with the purpose of showing them there, what it shows is that the New Republic is just filled with alcoholics at this point.
Well, they're all pilots, right? Because we've seen Filoni before as
as a pilot.
as
Yeah.
a pilot.
Alcoholics and half-baked ideas.
Ravi, what's your one-word impression?
I think for me, it's going to be wrong.
I thought you were gonna be no, like no.
I love that.
And I'm going to go with wrong because it just felt so wrong to like this show at this season.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And then anyone that I'm going to get into a discussion with about the show, I'm just going to ignore their opinions and say they're wrong. Because I'm just going to be very kind of black and white in terms of my opinion. I think this show, like, if I was to rank the seasons right now, I'd go season 1, 3, 2. I think that's kind of like season 1 was a great season because it was a great introduction to this world, a lot of mystery, really good action, and just a lot of that kind of mystery box, which, you know, as you both know, is what I like when looking into sci-fi.
Lost.
Exactly. I couldn't get past season 3. But then this season 3 of The Mandalorian, I think it did a really good job of, like, you say that you didn't know where things were going. And to me, at the very get-go, we knew in the very first episode what was the whole purpose of the thing, which is reunite Mandalore. Is that going to be Din? I don't know. Is it going to be Bo? Is it going to be somebody else? I don't know. We'll figure it out as the show goes. But from the get-go, to me anyway, it felt very obvious. The point of the show is to go back and bring these people together and, you know, give them a home. Because it was also very much like, again, season 1 is the introduction. Season 2 is figuring out the Grogu thing. Season 3 is like, okay, Grogu is going to be with me. We need, like, a group. We need a home. We need our people. And that's what we got, ultimately, because it ends, right, with the little, that's all, folks, Looney Tune animation thing, where he's sitting on his farm and Grogu is, you know, maliciously trying to murder frogs.
It make Grogu Krishna's favorite character of all time.
Oh,
His
yeah. I
treatment of
mean,
frogs.
put it this way. I've been saying that. When he tried to eat Frog Lady's eggs, I was like, go Grogu. He's doing the Lord's work, trying to eradicate a terrifying species. Good job. And he forced torturing frogs at the end. I'm like, man, Grogu is so dark side.
I
love it.
Yeah, super dark side.
Din Grogu.
Din Grogu. Sorry, yes.
That last shot was maybe my favorite thing of the whole season, by the way.
The Looney Tunes closing?
Yeah, just him sitting at that cabin. Like, that cabin was like the most Western, like, Star Wars. Like, it just was like, oh, okay, this reminds me of, like, Gunsmoke or something from, like, the 70s.
So if I was a true Star Wars fan, I would redo the exterior of my house to look like that.
And we will.
All right, there we go. New house project.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So our one-word sentence, if you rearrange it, is wrong, uneven armor.
Oh, wow, that's pretty good.
But that's what we're saying
It
about
sounds
your
like-
armor.
Whoa, hey, no, it's a spec, all right?
I was gonna say that sounds like the sentence if I tried to make armor or cosplay or something.
I could show you. I could show you. Actually, here for those who are lucky enough to like tune into our video show here, I can show you some really bad 3D prints of the Mythosaur.
Okay.
Yeah, these ones
They're
they're
very
broken.
flat.
Yeah, they didn't like work out properly.
For those of you only listening, these are awful.
They're
just
They are
terrible.
pretty
I
bad.
can confirm our producer sentiment. They look like biscuits.
They're not good.
Moldy
They're
biscuits.
not. It's not good. Like I said,
It's not a biscuit
Meshy
I would eat.
Biscuits.
3D printing is not as easy as the internet makes it.
3D printing is a complicated profession.
It really is, actually. I props to people that are proficient and good at it. Speaking of things that are great, when we did our first pod on Mandalorian Season 3, we made a joke, because we do jokes here, that Arjuna should go back and retitle each episode based on his style known as DVD chapter
forgot
listings.
about this.
Usually we do this for films, but because this is a series and because Mandalorian calls each of their episodes chapters, one, and then the title, like for example, the finale here was called, it's chapter 24,
The Return.
and it was called The Return. The previous one was called Spies. So Arjuna went and spent countless hours of research, days even,
Years.
potentially,
That's
coming up
too
with,
long.
Decades.
coming up with his own DVD chapter listing. And as always, Krishna, our resident voiceover actor, is going to go ahead and read these out to us in the style and voice of the Armorer. And there's dead air.
yeah. The armor. I'm like, wait. Oh God! You do an impression of the armorer.
She has a British accent, yeah? Something like that.
It's more.
yeah.
It's something like have
Didn't-
you ever
yeah.
removed your helmet?
Yeah, she does. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll do my best.
So we can.
Arjuna's DVD chapter listing for season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Wait, don't you have a Mandalorian helmet there somewhere? If you put that on, it would actually like help, really kind of sell this thing. So I mean, if we could keep talking, I'm gonna go grab it, unless it's gonna be too much
So,
of a mess.
as long as you don't think the voice, remember, it's going to go through the helmet into the mic.
I mean, Arjuna's our audio guy, so you ask Arjuna.
It
not
might
me.
help.
It might help sell.
You
It might sell it.
You actually get louder for the chapter listing, and I always have to lower it.
Oh, so this might be a good
this might
buffer.
help mute it a little.
Yeah, I think we'll do that. Here we go. So Christian's going to do the DVD chapter listing in the voice of the Armorer while wearing a V1 Best Card Mandalorian helmet.
Oh, it's so rusty.
It is rusty. Wow, that's clean. I like that.
Oh, can you hear me?
Wow, that sounds great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got it. Here we go.
Okay. Wait. I gotta make sure I can see my screen here.
Oh yeah, good point.
It's having trouble focusing.
Oh, okay. The one with quests. The one where we switch protagonists. The one that ultimately didn't matter. The one with the cool flashback. The one with a bunch of action. The one with all the cameos. It's a trap. The one where Dave Filoni has his hat. Whoops. The one where Dave Filoni and his hat show up.
It's pretty good.
Were you watching a lot of Friends?
I did want to do the Friends nomenclature.
Oh, gotcha.
The one.
It was I all along.
My God. It's pretty. It was a pretty good impression. I think the helmet really helped sell it.
I did
I think a little bit of the echo or whatever.
Yeah. I think the next thing we need to buy you is the Bane mask. I think you should start doing it like whatever our next feature film is. We should have him do it in the voice of Bane, but he'll need the little mask.
I'm
thing.
Bane.
Oh, yes, Bane was reading. You think darkness is your ally? I was born in the darkness.
Yeah,
I have to say my favorite, the favorite impression I've ever done is Boo from Dragon Ball. That was fun.
that was a good
because
one.
it's easy. But
Yeah.
anyways, sorry.
It's a good wrap up of each episode. And you wanted to go with the one because. Like, why did you add the one into every title?
Because it relates to Friends. That's
Right,
the
no, right,
Friends
okay.
nomenclature.
Gotcha, but how does Friends relate to man?
It doesn't. It's just
You
a
just
fun,
wanted-
it's just an easy way to do it.
Gotcha.
The one where
you didn't spend years on this.
I did. I actually went through. I watched every single popular television show, and that was the one that felt the most right to do because it's like, if you think about it, the Mandalorian is like Friends, right? They're just this group that's just trying to get along and figure out their lives. They have all this fancy stuff. You don't know how they really got it, you know? They afford, or, you know, they got all this Beskar and stuff. Just like in Friends, they have the really fancy New York apartments. Yeah. Cultural phenomenon.
Wow. Oh, boy.
New York space.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's basically the same thing, really.
Good Lord.
Brad Pitt.
Brad
Pedro
Pitt shows,
Pascal.
he shows up in one episode.
Yeah, just like Pedro.
Well, actually, no. Let's talk about that real quick. Pedro, we didn't see his face at all this season.
Yeah. Does he even exist?
I don't think.
Do you think they used Respeecher for his?
It's possible.
Oh, God. Oh, boy.
Could you imagine?
I mean, they fooled us really well then, if that's the case.
That's true.
I mean, I could imagine. I mean, how far away? It doesn't seem like we're all that far away from that kind of stuff.
And they did it with Luke.
Happening.
Right? Like, do we think he actually even showed up for any days on set?
Yes, he has to get paid. Part of his contract originally was that he would show his face so he could get paid as an actor instead of just a voice actor. So it is a little strange that he wasn't. That
no face was shown?
Yeah, because that was sort of the contract stipulation, as far as I knew. It allowed him to get good money.
So
do you think it's possible that maybe they cut that scene or scenes? Like perhaps there were.
It's possible,
like,
yeah.
You know what? There's no point in doing this because it's
X,
not what
Y,
this
and Z.
season's about at all.
Well, also, I was thinking about it. I was like, is he just going to end up being like, oh, man, I just bathed in the waters of Mandalore for this, and now I got to do it again? It seems weird for him to have to show his face again.
That's very true. See, I also thought, like, at the end, after the Vizsla child fully did the ceremony and was actually, you know, now part of the
They were
creed,
going to start taking their
I
masks
thought they were all
off.
going to take their helmets off because obviously, even though they have their beliefs, they still recognize this other clan that doesn't necessarily follow their beliefs 100%. So I was kind of curious to see if anyone would, you know, basically not question necessarily the way, but decide, hey, maybe there is another way,
right.
you know, and is it okay to take the helmet off? Maybe that's a season 4 thing if there is a season 4.
We'll get that in Boba Fett's second season. They'll allow everybody to take their helmets off, like Grogu and Mando got back together.
Is anyone bummed that we didn't see Boba Fett?
Nope.
Really?
Really not bumped at all.
Well, I'm bummed.
I was happy. That was the
hoping
best part
for-
of this. The best part of this season was that Boba was not in it.
Wouldn't be sad if I never saw Boba Fett again. Not going to lie.
Wow. You got a thing against clones, huh?
No, I have a thing against that show.
I would have thought the best time for Mando to have his helmet removed this season was when he was shackled by Moff Gideon. Like, he was right there, right? When he was, and Moff could have just taken his helmet off and been like, aha.
What was the point in
I've done the one thing that causes you trauma, which is removing your helmet in public.
What was-
you didn't do it, though.
what was
It's the
the-
sign that Moff is not truly all bad.
But what was the point of Moff capturing Din, right? If his goal was just to eliminate all of the Mandalorians.
Yeah, why did you keep him alive?
I'm glad you brought this up because I want to play a little game called The Logic of Star Wars.
Actually, it leads to my one-word impression, armor. It's plot armor.
There you go.
It's just,
true.
it's just,
We can't kill Din.
So
we
besides
can't kill him. So.
besides that, kind of like the lack of logic in terms of why did he actually take Din? The other big couple of things that stood out in this episode,
Who escapes minutes later, by the way. Like,
who
right?
saved literally minutes later. But the other big
But you
one,
knew was going to happen. I mean, good Lord.
the other big one was Gideon obviously knows the location of where Grogu and Mando are in the base because we see him on two blinking dots, right? And
I
he
like how one
knows-
was green and one was like orange or red.
right?
Yeah.
And we know, and Gideon knows that they're going to his cloning area where all of his precious,
Like, yeah, you
naked
can see it
clones are.
happening.
And
Yeah.
instead of stopping them or sending troops or anything or locking the fucking door, even
He's just
just lets it
stewing.
happen.
He's just steaming in his room. He's like, I can't believe they did that. And then he's just waiting for them to come so he can have a temper tantrum. It's like,
The
You broke all my toys.
the other big one, the gauntlets are all flying down to the planet to give back up to Bo-Katan, and they pass through the clouds. And then a couple awkward seconds later, TIE interceptors and bombers fly
you
right
guys
through.
you just pass each other on the way
Pass
on
through.
the way up.
Just
Like,
pass through.
oh no, that's something different.
Yep.
Oh,
Don't worry
in
about that.
In the defense of that, those clouds were hard to see through in all the previous it's possible they didn't see each other. How they didn't wreck, I don't know.
How they didn't crash into each other?
Exactly.
Something
Some
else.
luck. That's some luck.
Either way.
No,
yeah.
guys, it's the Force.
And then the last big one in this finale, or the finale episode, was the jetpack that never runs out of fuel or
Which they
energy.
specifically show in episode 4.
Four, as a
with
thing.
the bird dinosaur
Absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
That like they can't chase it because there's a set amount of fuel.
And then somehow
They go into
Axe
space.
is able to go straight into space, which I'm not a physicist. I've never attempted to understand the math of thrust and leaving a planet's gravity, but from what I can tell, at least on Earth, it requires a lot of fucking fuel. So how he did it, Star Wars logic.
Maybe you probably need a lot less once you get into space, right? The zero gravity thing.
Well, I
so
think once you
maybe
get
he
into
had
like
just
the
enough.
lower.
He had his
Atmosphere.
extended gas tank on.
I will say this though, as we're bringing up like the logic of Star Wars and kind of the silliness that we saw in the finale. One thing that just kind of popped in my head actually, and I wanted to ask you guys this. We'll start first with the question. The question is, was that actually the OG Gideon that got vaporized? Yes or no?
Yeah, I was gonna say he was cloning force sensitive clones. Maybe he let them destroy them for a reason.
That's what I was going to suggest. Because is it
Yeah.
to make it believe and seem like that Gideon's all done? Because a couple of things. A lot of people, when we first saw Gideon episodes, the 7th episode, Spies, when he's shown he has no mustache.
Oh,
And he looks a lot younger.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, is this a Gideon clone? Because the other thing too is just because those clones potentially had force powers, we know he's been cloning for a while. Who's to say that this clone is a good clone, right? It's a clone that works, it functions, it just has no force power or whatever.
I mean, I think
also-
that's
right.
certainly possible. I did think it was interesting that I think we've known about the cloning process and everything, and we assumed that Grogu was being used to try and channel the Force into the clones, right? I think we had all assumed that this was the Snoke Palpatine stuff. So I did think it was interesting that Moff kind of going rogue and making his own clones to be Force sensitive. I think it just depends on what they want to do with the story. I think very easily, if they want to bring Moff Gideon back for season 4 or future season, that was a clone, and there are other clones. Even if he is dead, there are still maybe other clones running around.
It reminds me, do you remember Stargate and the most
Ball?
annoying fucking villain of all time, which was Ball, because there were so many
Ball clones.
fucking clones. It's just like, you're a ball, and I'm never gonna fucking die.
Balls
So I really
everywhere.
hope it's not that, because that was frustrating and really annoying at the end.
I think it really. I think it's open enough that it could go either way. He either is dead or there's more clones. There's another clone facility, and
You know
he's around.
who looks like they got hit in the face with a Star Destroyer or whatever that thing was? Snoke. What if Snoke is Gideon?
Well, we know he's not. Snoke's like a brand new individual.
What, maybe the Snoke clone got smashed by a
Star
thing, got
Destroyer?
his face all messed up, and now he's Snoke.
Could be. I mean,
they both
Yeah.
have very little hair.
And they're leaders of the they're leaders of the First Order, or Snoke is the leader of the First Order, and in this, Gideon appears to be in charge of all of these little
Yeah, this
separatists,
little,
or not.
this-
What is it? Remnant, the imperial remnant.
well,
yeah,
no,
this corner of the empire.
Yeah,
or
his
whatever.
corner. He's not in charge of the rest of those random shadow people.
He's
Everybody's
like 1/8.
something like that. And we only know 2 of their names. Everybody else is kind of unnamed. So we're not sure who's who. But I do think, and this is not by any means my bold prediction for Mando or anything, but I do think this 3rd and final season of Bad Batch, I think we're going to see Gideon in that, and I think we're going to see him close to the cloners, played by Jimmy Simpson. What's his name?
Oh, that guy. Yeah,
The creepy guy.
Yeah,
Creepy guy.
Mr. Creep.
Creep
Mr.
Creep
Creep.
Master 82.
Isn't it like Renfeld? No,
Nope, that's a movie.
yeah. Nicholas
He's
Cage.
a vampire.
It's Nicholas Cage.
But I do think, I think Gideon's going to show up around there, and that's how we get the connection between, like, that's where he basically gets the idea of, like, oh, what if I take and clone?
Right.
And it also, the whole thing makes sense, too, because he said it in the 7th episode. The Jedi gave us the Force. The clones give us cloning. The Mandalorians give us armor. All of this is for his Dark Trooper
Bullshit.
foot soldier program thing.
I did find it interesting. They showed it in the flashback at the top of the episode where he really tries to push cloning's not my thing. It's your thing, Hux. Remember? So, like, that to me indicates that his little clone army is secretive to the rest of the Imperial troops. So I wonder if that gets found out and what that does to them. Do they all also decide to, like, we should make clone versions with the Force of ourselves? Like, you know, what was it only the Snoke Palpatine thing by the time we get to the sequel trilogy that was happening, or were there other people doing this as well, right?
Well, yeah, I would imagine that there's a lot of people with specific ties to the Empire, because as we've seen with Bad Batch, the Empire went and unfortunately wiped out all the Kaminoans. And they're obviously the best, and I think maybe the only full-size humanoid cloners in the galaxy. So if the Empire has kind of full control over that technology, I believe the only individuals that are attempting to recreate or do it are going to be Imperials.
Yeah.
So I think what you'll end up seeing, and it kind of makes sense too. It's similar to, and we've seen this in the Clone Wars and other Star Wars, offshoots of things, games and books, where fallen separatist leaders will take a droid army, right, and reactivate a droid army to go and further their own personal interests or repurpose them for something else. So it would make sense that somebody is like, the cloning idea wasn't a terrible idea. We just need to add some things to make it even better.
Do you think this is Disney's way of trying to reboot the original Star Wars?
The original trilogy?
So you just clone Darth Vader. You clone Darth Maul. You bring them back in episode 10, 11, and 12.
No,
Here's clone Vader and clone Maul and clone Anakin and clone Obi-Wan and clone Qui-Gon. They're all clones.
Juno, don't put that out there.
Don't you do that to me, Ricky Poppins.
I mean,
don't do it. I think I'd rather have time travel than that shit.
Well, see,
cloning and time travel.
well, that's the thing. Though,
No.
like, Star Trek's whole like big science fiction plot device, right, is time travel. Right, they use time travel in every single series for the most part. I think most movies have some connection or whatever to time travel. Yeah, you might be right. Maybe cloning is like the Star Wars thing to.
I mean, look at Star Wars over the last few years, right? In terms of what like overarching like
themes
and things that are really being beaten over the head or like really
pushed,
programmed or pushed into the media, and cloning is number one. You know, like within the Bad Batch, within Mandalorian, it is a huge part of like what they're pushing in terms of like clones.
I mean that the sequel trilogy, they directly tied that whole idea to the prequels, right?
Yep.
The original trilogy, so far, and maybe I'm forgetting something, seems to be the only one that's missing any kind of cloning.
Nope.
Who?
I think Obi-Wan mentions
He
the
mentions
Clone
it in the
Wars.
the Clone
Oh
Wars.
yeah, no. I just mean like in terms of impacting the story that's told.
Yeah.
That we know
I think
of.
that we know of, exactly. I mean, all these shows that are coming out directly before and after the originals, they all have cloning in it. It's safe to assume that they're going to. There's no reason that they couldn't throw some stuff in with supplemental material that'd be like, well, cloning. There was a huge element of clones and cloning in the OG trilogy. You know, retcon that a little bit.
But like let's take this Daisy Ridley Star Wars movie that's coming out, for example. Who's to say there's like another remnant of the First Order, and there's a crazy First Order person who's like, we need to bring back the old guard. Let's like clone Vader and like,
Oh my god!
continue. Like they could, like they want to bring back iconic characters, right? It's like let's just.
But they
bring them
technically, well, I guess they could.
could do anything. It's science fiction.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you actually need the actors, or you used to.
Well, Hayden Christensen came back.
Vader, you don't need anyone's permission.
Yeah.
You don't need Earl Jones?
No, because you could just
He
read his
signed
voice
it
if you
over.
wanted to.
Signed it over his speech.
Yeah, he signed it
He
over.
did that too,
Okay, sweet. Then
Yeah.
then you don't need anybody for Vader.
Vader's back. There it is. Guaranteed.
Darth Maul, because Darth Maul is it's not it's a humanoid character, but you could still use a different.
He's been voiced
There's
by
a
different
performer
people
and
than
there's a voice
performed.
actor,
Right,
and
so
they've used different voice actors in the
Yep.
live actions too. So
that's one that you could redo.
I think this is all just filling in the somehow Palpatine returned.
yeah,
I'm surprised you guys haven't talked about what I thought was the biggest deal of this episode. The loss of the Darksaber.
oh, we were getting to that. It was a point. It was a plot point
Oh.
in the talking point.
I don't read those. I just put times in and then type what you say.
I don't bother with
I
that
put
shit.
point.
But yes, the Darksaber was crushed by super Megazord. Well, not super Megazord, but Megazord or super armored Moff Gideon. Roided up Moff Gideon.
Yeah, roided up. Yeah, it was interesting. First of all, I was like, that Darksaber we've seen since the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah.
That's when it's first introduced. And I always thought that was like Dave Filoni's baby. Like it's been the one object that's sort of followed Dave Filoni as he's gone from show to show. So the fact that he
Let it go.
allowed it, to get crushed in this episode, it's definitely significant.
Right.
Well, I was also going to say, I don't think it's a mistake or an accident that before this episode we got a lot of mention of Thrawn. I almost look at it as sort of a passing of the torch kind of a thing. I think I'm getting the feeling that Dave Filoni is getting ready to sort of let the reins go a little bit. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but
I thought the Darksaber, because so the Spies episode came out, and then the internet went nuts with "You're gonna die, they're gonna die, that's gonna happen, death, 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 end." You had some VFX people, you had some of the stunt doubles go out on Twitter and say things along the lines of "You're not ready for this ending. It's gonna be so sad." Da 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 da. So just kind of feel this idea of like end, right? There's gonna be some kind of end to a character. And I think what everyone was referring to really is the end of the Darksaber. This inanimate object that, to your point, has been around for something like 15 years. And it's
in
over.
canon, how long has it been around?
In canon, it's been around for 1,000 years or something.
Is it gone? I mean, the crystal didn't shatter, did it? Does it have a
No,
crystal?
the blade itself is just snapped. So in theory, you could
casing,
reforge it.
yeah. And we don't know if
And you would
they
imagine
grabbed
that
it
they
or
would.
not. I will say, after episode 6 came out, a lot of people, or there seemed to be like people upset about the passing of the Darksaber, right?
From Din to-
when Din kind of waves it, explains, and then hands it to Bo. Then
plot armor.
Yeah, and there was a lot of the plot armor there, and people, I think it's funny when Moff breaks it. He even's like, "You and your Mandalorians and your trinkets right?"
Yeah.
Like it has been a big MacGuffin, right, for multiple shows and multiple seasons, and you got the reveal at the end of season 1 where Moff ignites it, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit, he has the Darksaber. Season 2, it's a big deal because Din wins it, and then Bo won't take it. You even get a lot of him using the Darksaber.
Oh, he didn't really like win it. He just kind of accidentally got it.
Yo, he beat Moff.
I
He
ju-
beat
yeah, he
Gideon
beat
Moff.
1-1.
I don't.
Sure, but
Yeah, I don't think it's accidental though. That it's like it gets crushed at the end of season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And the next Star Wars show is Ahsoka,
Right.
which is going to have Sabine, who is a prominent wielder of the Darksaber,
Yeah.
or was, I should say. So, yeah, I think narratively there's something there. Well, I'm curious to see what the story is they're trying to tell there.
So are you in the camp then that the Darksaber, that's not the last time we'll see it?
I think it is the last time, and I think it signifies the evolution of Mandalore and Mandalorians.
Yeah.
And I think it's significant too, because Mandalorians are warlike people, that we saw the Mandalorians on Mandalore farming. I think that's also
true.
another narrative, like we're changing, we're evolving, we're not just warriors anymore.
You have multiple factions working together, putting aside their differences. You have their quote-unquote trinkets that they've worshipped that was so important not just to them, but also narratively to the show, right? Like the Darksaber was a huge part, and then it's destroyed, and you're just like, well, cause like Christian says, there's this transition now where the Mandalorians are now kind of entering a new phase. And then I think you see that with the characters too, right? Like Din and Grogu are now have a little house and they're going to go on their adventures and things are different. Things are calm in a way. It almost felt like to me this episode, I don't know how you guys felt, but like it almost felt like a series finale.
Yeah, no, big
Like
time.
it almost felt like when you got that little fade away, it's like now they just go on their adventures and you could do more seasons obviously, but
Sure.
it almost feels like this is like the end of the story that they maybe set out to tell or something.
And honestly, I would be okay with that because you never want something to be beaten to death, right? You don't want another Mandalorians. Like Dave Filoni has already, not Dave, Jon Favreau has already said that a season 4 has already been written. So
He's also said that he wants the Mandalorian to go forever,
right, which I don't want.
which slightly concerning. But
and to that point, it's like we know that they're together. They're going to go on adventures, et cetera, et cetera. Star Wars is a great thing when not everything is consistently just given to you minute by minute, play by play. And I'm sure in Disney's mind and Jon Favreau's mind, yes, we need to give you every single minute to minute because there's more content to be pushed or whatever. But again, it doesn't feel special in that way. It just feels never ending. And the other thing too is with Din and Grogu, or excuse me,
Din Grogu.
Din Grogu.
Din
Djarin
Grogu
and
and Din with Djarin and Grogu.
Djarin.
With DiGiorno pizza.
DiGiorno pizza.
With DiGiorno
With John?
pizza and Grogu. We know at some point, like, there's going to be an inevitable disconnect where they will go or have to part ways, right? Because we know that Grogu is going to outlive Din.
Not with the power of cloning.
We also know there's this movie coming, right? This Dave
There's also
Filoni
this movie
that
coming
is
as well,
the
yeah.
culmination of the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and the
Yeah.
other shows.
At Celebration, 3 movies were announced, and one of them is wow, Christian, you really are off of Twitter.
I haven't heard this.
That's great. But yeah, at Celebration Europe, Kathleen Kennedy announced 3 films that are coming out. One of them is going to be directed by Dave Filoni. We're no idea when it's coming out. The main purpose of the film is to basically give kind of an end to the Book of Boba, Mandalorian, and Ahsoka.
Yeah, they called it the culmination of the events within those shows.
What a weird title.
Yeah, very weird title. The other 2 films, one is going to be with Daisy Ridley reviving her role as Rey. It takes place roughly 10 years.
10 or 15
years after the events of Episode 9. A lot of people are like, oh my God, we're going to see an older, more mature Grogu. That's a huge possibility. And then there's another movie that's going to take place
10,000 years before episode 1.
10,000 years before episode 1.
Sounds like a KOTOR.
And it's about the first Jedi tapping into the Force.
Yeah.
No, the first Jedi igniting a lightsaber.
I think it's the origins of the Force, essentially.
Something
is what
like
they kind
that,
of
yeah.
described it as.
The origins of the Force.
Yes,
The
for the
will.
Jedi.
Midichlorians.
For the Jedi specifically.
Oh, for the Jedi.
Yeah,
For
because
the Jedi.
remember, I mean, if you play Jedi Fallen Order, the first one,
Fallen Order, yeah.
they talk about the Zeppo, which is an alien race that used the Force,
The Pintu?
and they're like 100,000 years old. So the Force is there.
The Force has been around for
I
a
will.
long
I will
time.
say. I will say. So I am off of Twitter, but I'm still on Instagram. And one funny post I saw on that was Dave Filoni asked George Lucas if he could bring back Plo Koon. I'm assuming for one of these ending projects, and George Lucas completely shut it down. Was like, "Fuck no, Plo Koon is dead."
Well, yeah, we saw him vaporized.
Yeah, he died in episode 3.
3, yeah.
He gets shot.
It's just Dave Filoni trying to just meddle with things.
He should just push on the Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury / Mace Windu crossover. Window.
Mace Windu is alive and is trying to create the new Jedi Order,
Correct.
secret Jedi Order.
Yep.
And then that Jedi Order will fight Rey's Jedi Order in the Rey movie.
In the movie Riddle Lead Me This.
Yes. Oh God! The movie writes itself. It's
So my only
amazing.
question is, if they're doing a movie about the origins of the Force, how do they get Grogu into that movie?
Can't.
Well, I thought
It'll be
they were
Grogu's great.
I thought they were going to
Simple.
try to put Grogu in all of these movies.
Yeah,
clearly.
it's his great grandfather, isn't it? Or mother.
Is Grogu going to show up in Andor?
Shut up.
Probably. Why not?
Star Wars is
Has Andor season 2 been greenlit?
Yeah, it's coming out.
It's coming out next August.
Yeah. Yeah, Christian.
Their second and final season. They announced it always as a 2-season project.
Right. So next year you're gonna get the finale series finale for Bad Batch and series finale for Andor. So you're gonna be nice and depressed in 2024. Is that great?
No, I'm to your point earlier where you hope they don't beat things to death. I'm glad those are announced in final seasons.
Sure, but you're still gonna be
I
sad
like
in
the
moment.
wrap ups of story. No, because it's Star Wars. You know, the next thing will be announced days after those shows end,
And it won't
There's
be
so
as good.
much Star Wars.
Disney sells Star Wars to the moon. The moon has no plans to make any more content.
The moon?
Yeah, the moon's gonna become a sentient thing and have money and buy Star Wars.
If you watch Doctor Who, there's an episode that says
true.
the moon is actually a dragon egg.
Yep.
I saw a movie where the moon was a secret base.
Is that the what moon?
Is that Transformers? Dark Side of
It's
the Moon?
Moonfall.
Yeah, Moonfall. Yeah.
Which is great.
From ancient humans.
Oh.
They put it there to stop this black ooze thing.
If you watch Wallace and Gromit, the moon is cheese.
This is very true.
This is the way.
If you're a flat earther, the moon is a light bulb.
Or a smudge.
Let's go back and look at our qualifiers. Basically, the things we needed to happen in order for us to say this season was good.
Ooh, what was mine? I forget.
Oh, I'm glad you asked because I have it right here. Krishna has said, need to learn something significant about Grogu's past. You know, I think Jar Jar Binks saving him
What?
was significant enough.
Oh!
Okay.
That was great. That's up there. I mean, that might be my favorite part of the season. Was that flashback? It's definitely one of them.
Ahmed
So.
Best being like getting to come back to Star Wars and have some positive interactions is awesome.
Well, you know, though, that wasn't the first time he played that
Yeah,
Jedi,
it was a
right?
YouTube series that they did
Yeah,
in
the
2020.
kids. Yeah, kids
Yeah.
YouTube series. That takes place where he's on a Star Cruiser and he's doing. It was a trivia show specific to YouTube.
It was the
for
dark
kids.
days, remember, in the early COVID where people were like,
Yeah.
how do we make content without being
People.
around each other?
Yeah.
Ahmed Best.
Yeah. He was great. As Calvin Beck, yeah. I want to see more of that.
So Christian, so then I guess yes, your qualifier was correct. So spoiler for Christian's answer then.
Uh-oh. He's
Well, I
making
don't
that
know about
face.
that. We'll
He's
see.
like, I don't
I
know.
said there needs
very
to
on the
be
fence.
a big reveal. Grogu, Darksaber, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Luke level.
Did you get that?
Did
The
you feel
Darksaber.
like-
I'm not sure you
so
did.
That was pretty big.
Yeah, I was
That's
going
not
to say.
a reveal. That's
I
not
don't
a
know if you got,
reveal.
like, a
That's
big
an action.
reveal,
It was revealed that it was destroyed.
I mean,
Isn't a reveal an action?
Well, actually, hold on. Lizzo,
no,
Jack
to
Black.
reveal
like
is
a-
to
Yeah, yeah,
perform.
Lizzo,
A
Jack Black,
reveal.
Christopher, Lloyd.
That's not a
showing up.
reveal.
Those are
Yeah.
reveals.
A reveal is like important information being conveyed to you.
It's important to know that the Darksaber no longer works.
But I mean, you had qualified it when we did the first episode
Sure.
of like it needs to be something like Grogu in episode 1, Luke showing up at the end of season 2, Boba showing up at the end of the
Yeah,
season
we didn't
1
get it,
premiere or
unfortunately.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is okay. And Arjun said, don't split the marriage of Grogu and Din. Djarin. Which I think they
Now they're
They
married, really.
They're really
about
connected now. That's
Yeah.
father
They're
and
adopted.
son.
Maybe married isn't the right word
Yeah,
we should use
I don't
anymore.
think you should use that word. Weird
It's
word.
Star Wars. It's a large galaxy.
Anyway, let's go back. Okay, so those are our qualifiers. Let's look at, before we make bold predictions about a season 4 of Mandalorian, and also at the time of taping of this pod, I don't know if you guys are aware, it's not official anything of a season 4. We're just doing wild speculation and just making logical assumptions. But our bold predictions that we'd made for this season, Christian started out with, Din fails his quest and leaves Mandalore behind, but the helmet will be melded to his face.
There's some truth to this. if you
Because we
think
didn't
about it.
see-
We never see Din's face.
Well,
the
let me-
helmet never leaves.
I will say this.
He
I will
does
say
leave
this.
Mandalore.
If Din Grogu, well, he was just Grogu at the time. If Grogu hadn't been there to stop the fire, to protect himself, Bo-Katan, and Mando from the fire, maybe his helmet would be melded to his face. But
Maybe it still
Grogu
is
saved
because
that.
they were protected, but there could have still been some heat.
Also, he did get flamethrower. Like Moff Gideon used a flamethrower on him 2 or 3 times.
Right, but then the IG-12 Grogu combo sprayed him with the
little
spray thing.
back to spray.
Yeah.
That's what it was for.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
it was Axe body spray.
is
'Cause he's
that
like, wow, you smell
Yeah.
like shit.
Man, you smell like burnt
He's like,
hair.
Papa, you smell.
No,
I love that.
No. Oh, God, no.
This smell isn't working for me.
I had said the big bad behind Gideon was Thrawn. And that
Ooh.
was very incorrect.
It's kind
Well,
of true, though.
Not really,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
Thrawn's actions are not supporting or helping or doing anything directly for Gideon.
Yeah.
So
But-
he's not the big bad behind Gideon.
But it was revealed that Thrawn is coming.
Sure, but
And therefore,
hold on.
he's casting a shadow
Sure.
over the entire Empire operation.
Oh,
No, but
like a
here-
shadow of the Empire.
But here's the thing, though. Gideon even said it. Like they've been saying for a while that Thrawn would show up, and there's been no Thrawn. So
Thrawn is like me on a shift at work. People are like, where the hell is he?
Oh, he took his 10th bathroom break. He's just
Sarm
taking his
late, guys.
time.
Sarm late.
What if like we go through this whole like Ahsoka thing and like Thrawn's returning and like Ezra's returning, but it's just like they're hanging out and they're friends and
It might be.
it could be. Why not?
I wouldn't be shocked.
Wouldn't that be the lamest thing anybody could do?
No, I
Yes?
think it's like 5 other lamer things they could do. Which is
Then
like
to just have a cool, peaceful, like mellow Ahsoka
Show.
where they're all like, something's coming. Oh, never mind. I guess it's just
no.
a
So
party.
basically, the lamer thing would be think season 2 of Mandalorian, but it all leads up to Ahsoka saying hi or whatever to Thrawn in the very last episode.
Oh my God.
Hi.
That would be the lamer thing too. Arjuna's big bold prediction for season 3 of The Mandalorian:
this one's
Wow.
pretty close. This one's pretty good.
live action Omega, and she will explain what Grogu is all about.
Like where he's from, and
Yeah.
we'll get the explanation. But we did say bold, and I will say mine was the boldest.
I
'Cause
mean,
was
it
the
was
most Thrawn.
it was pretty. I mean, Christian's was pretty bold because it was so violent.
Yeah. I didn't
Like-
think it was going to happen, but
2/3
Damn,
of his,
if it had
his
happened,
prediction kind of happened.
call me a prophet.
True,
He left Mandalore. His
Yes.
helmet was kind of melded to his face.
because he did go through the water. Maybe the water like
Yeah.
stuck it.
We actually
Oh,
don't
wow.
know if it's melded to his face or not. It
No,
could
we
very well be melded to his face.
True.
At this
Very
point,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, point
might be
wise,
right.
everyone gets a 0. So good job, guys.
I think I get 2 points.
You get 0.
Couldn't the reveal be that Grogu didn't pass out after using so much force?
He just sat down. He just
Kind
took
of
a
the
little,
yeah. He just like
little
oh, I
seat.
just need a seat. I don't need to like full on go days without consciousness.
I think we got to define what reveal is. It sounds like anything that happens is a reveal.
If we didn't
fuck?
know about it before, it's being revealed to us now.
Can't
will say-
can't
He used-
reveal
he used
also
the Force
just
a
be
few
like
times.
can't reveal also just be like very personal, right? Like what a reveal is to me could be different from
Yeah,
Arjuna from you guys.
That's a good
you
point.
know?
I was gonna say. I mean, do you put the Moff Gideon clone thing? I mean, that is a reveal.
That was a reveal.
You know?
I certainly thought that was
I called
an interesting reveal. Especially because I think, again, like I said earlier, we all assumed that this was like the Palpatine, Snoke, Force cloning type of thing that was going on. So it was an interesting wrinkle.
You know what
for
have
sure.
made it even more like a bigger reveal, bigger like whoa moment is if when they're fighting these stormtroopers with Mando armor on or Beskar or whatever on, if like when the helmet gets ripped off and it's a Gideon.
Ooh,
Like that would have been like a whoa, holy shit moment.
that would have been a way better way to like show the Gideon clones and then just have them in tanks and then
Yeah.
get
That would have
it
been kind of like,
ejected.
oh my God.
That'd be wild.
Yeah.
You should have been right. You should have been a writer for the show, Avi.
I was. They fired me.
I have a random
Oh.
question for you guys.
Sure.
What was your favorite fight scene in the finale?
Mine was when the probably the Grogu Mando combo against the
Praetorian
Praetorians.
guards?
Yeah.
Mm.
I really liked the gate one with the troopers, and he's going through each level of the gate. It reminded me a little bit of
Oh yeah.
episode 1 with
Yep.
Maul, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon. I mean, that one's obviously
Yeah.
cooler, but this one was pretty. I thought was pretty sick.
This was like a combo of like the Daredevil hallway scene
yeah,
and the episode 1 fight with Maul and stuff.
It was cool to see them team up and like
Yeah.
him use the Force and what that combination can look like.
Yeah.
I think it promised something awesome for season 4.
Street Fighter-esque Star Wars game is what it promised.
Christian, what about you?
I mean, you guys pretty much named the good ones. I'll just say my favorite moment from the fight scenes is when Grogu is on the rail and he's just jumping, and he's just making those noises like.
It felt like he was kind of laughing, right? Like I thought
he was having. It sounded like he was having fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite moment, I think, of the fight.
I did like that, kind of to what Michael said of them teaming up. I liked it when it was like Bo, Grogu, and Din at the end, and they were all kind of fucking
the mother,
the
father, and the son.
Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Well, now Gideon's the Holy Spirit.
Oh, snap!
or that one is.
Oh yeah, that particular if he's a clone, yes.
Do you get the impression that Djarin and Bo are gonna,
I did think it was weird we didn't get like a final scene with them, like a convo or kind of anything,
a goodbye or
like
a high
goodbye,
five.
especially because they leave, right? And they're like, and the armor's like, okay, now go on your travels. And I thought there'd be like, be something that was a little more like, this is at least the end of the season, and I won't see you for a while. Even like with her and Grogu as well, because they really bonded this season. That was one thing I was kind of like, that feels like a scene that they would have.
Unless it's somewhere else in another show.
Right, it's going to be in Ahsoka for me.
It's going to be
they plan on seeing each other like every Friday for tea. They have ships.
Shared
they can
custody.
still meet up.
I see.
We don't know who was inside the house, maybe making some drinks for them.
I doubt that the person who's now ruling Mandalore is going to take time to go to Navarro and make fucking tea.
Don't put her in a box.
Anyway, let's look at bold predictions for season 4 of Mandalorian,
Or just the future.
or the future
I
of
feel
the
like
Mandalorian.
I feel like Ravi already gave his, right? Which is a
No.
good one.
No, that was just for Gideon.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
fine. Future of this show or the future in general?
No, future of the of Din and Grogu. Din
Yeah,
Grogu
yeah, yeah.
and Din Djarin.
Jargon.
Future of the Dins. How about that?
Ah, yes, the Dins.
We're
The
having
Din
the Dins
Dynasty.
over for tea.
They're going to make a prequel series called The Origins of Din.
Anyway,
Din.
Christian, what's your bold
Going
prediction?
for dinner.
The Din dinner. Dinner for Din.
The Dinners.
My bold prediction is, I mean, at this point, you would think the next time you see Grogu and Din is going to be, at the very least, in Ahsoka, I think. I don't know if that's bold, though, but I think they're definitely going to show up in that show. Din and Ahsoka have met. Ahsoka and Grogu have met. Thrawn was mentioned in The Mandalorian. So now that Mando is taking these odd jobs for the New Republic, there's easy ways to get them into that show with the big threat of Thrawn arriving. So I guess my bold prediction is they're going to be in Ahsoka, and they will fuck shit up.
Fuck shit
It's
up.
not bold. It's not bold at all. But I want to say like they get split, but I don't think that's going to actually happen. I want to say one of them dies. I don't think that's going to happen. I want to say one of them joins Thrawn. That's not going to happen. Like all the bold predictions I could come up with are just they're not bold. They're just
Outrageous.
They're just not even outrageous. They're not even predictions. They're like those things are not going to happen. So yeah.
Any idea?
It feels like their story, their immediate story seems pretty set. I don't see any twists or turns.
That's what makes them twists and turns.
Don't
What do
see
you
them
mean?
coming.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you
no,
can't see
for
them
sure,
coming.
for sure, yeah. And I'm saying I don't see any twists or turns for this. That's my
very
bold prediction.
close.
There are no twists or turns for this duo. I think it's going to be pretty like they come in, they help people, they do their stuff. They have some minor challenges and obstacles, but I don't think there's anything major left for these two.
Here's the M. Night Shyamalan twist. They become pod racers.
It's pod racing.
It's pod racing time. It's morphin' time.
It's Morbin time.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's Morbin time.
Morbius.
Morbin time.
Never saw that movie.
You're lucky.
Yeah, I didn't either, actually. So,
Oh, I
It's called
did.
Skills.
Yeah.
Judy, do you have a bold prediction for season 4 of The Mandalorian?
Yeah, I think this is kind of going off what Christian said, but I think the 4th season will be. I don't think Dave Filoni is going to be involved with season 4 of The Mandalorian. I think this will be a Jon Favreau solo effort, and I think it's going to be very much like season 1, where it is just kind of Din and Grogu. It's not as connected to the larger Star Wars universe, and it is, again, back to the quests of the week. There'll be like some type of through line for the season. There's some type of story and arc, but I don't think it's going to. I think these last 2 seasons have done such a big job of world building and building up other shows that the 4th season is now going to go in the opposite way and just tell the story of Din and Grogu.
Why, though,
And,
no
like,
Dave involved?
I think he's going to be too busy with Ahsoka.
But he's not the front runner for Ahsoka.
He, I believe, is the showrunner for Ahsoka.
I thought it was someone else.
Even if he's not the showrunner, he'd be.
I think he's
hugely
still going to be
involved in that
hugely
show.
involved.
Sure.
Those are
that
his
show.
characters.
And I also think he's going to be involved in this movie that he's making. Right?
Oh,
even,
no, he's no.
even if it doesn't come out for a few years, there's still a lot of pre-production. I think, like, with the opening up of all of these releases with these new Star Wars shows and these Star Wars movies, it's pulling these guys in different directions, and they kind of need to divide and conquer. When Christian was talking about the Darksaber and the symbolism with it, I kind of do like that. That's kind of like Filoni passing the torch. Now he's on to Ahsoka. He's on to these other things. And it's not like he's dropping the show forever, but I do not think he's going to be as intimately involved in this show as he was before. This is the first season of The Mandalorian that did not have a Dave Filoni directed episode, right? It had, I think, 1 or 2 episodes that were co-written by him, but even from his, like, from the previous seasons, he was more involved in the first 2 seasons than he was with this season. I believe he, like, helped co-write episode 4, which had the Grogu flashback.
Flashbacks, right?
And I think he might have done 1 other episode, but beyond that, like, he didn't do as much on the day-to-day. I'm sure he helped map it out with Favreau, but I think it's going to be even less in season 4 because of these other projects. And I think narratively, at least where they're going with the show, that kind of works, right? Because I think it is going to kind of, quote-unquote, get back to roots. And again, this is probably a boring, bold prediction, but my boring, bold prediction is it is quest of the week. It's not going to be like Thrawn was behind it and here's the Darksaber type of thing. It's just going to be like,
Well, no, because that's in Ahsoka.
right. Like I think these last 2 seasons did some world building, and now it's like, okay, now we're going to go back to Din and Grogu.
Gotcha.
Well, The Mandalorian is Favreau's creation. It is
Right.
not Filoni's.
Right, but he has been
helping.
intimately involved
Right.
with the show.
Intimately.
And they've even been presented together, right, for this show in a lot of their.
For a marketing thing, I think for the casual fan, you would think it's a Dave and John thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Through and
And
through,
even
so.
the way that it's been the stories of the show and the history of the show has been told have been connected. But I think it is going to be more Jon Favreau for season 4.
But that's so difficult because his character's gone.
But he,
No, pass.
Yeah, is John gonna really give a 2 flying fucks anymore? His character's dead.
Well,
it's
he
his
did
invention.
the voice, right?
That's true.
There's more Vizslas, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
There's the Vizsla clan.
Right.
yeah. Ravi, are you going to have a different bold prediction?
Oh, big time. Mine's actually
Or,
super
sorry.
bold.
Yeah, bold.
Here we go. You guys ready for this one?
Okay.
It's gonna blow your
Time
brains.
travel. Do it.
Din Djarin is going to teach himself some of the ways of the Jedi.
I say he's going to learn how to use the Force.
Not necessarily use the Force, but I think he's going to take a a better understanding of how the Jedi and all that stuff works, because I think he's going to recognize that Grogu cannot just be one thing. He can't just be a Mandalorian. In order for him to survive and be a part of the world, Grogu needs to take an approach that is like multiple cultures, multiple ideologies and things in order to kind of help him survive. Because number one, his species doesn't really work with the Mandalorian way because of how he ages. And the Jedi kind of fit that a little bit better, i.e. Yoda and everything. So in order for him to be like a better father and teacher, he'll need to either go out and seek a Luke again or an Ahsoka or somebody to just kind of take like a crash course in like Jedi philosophy and ideology.
I have a question.
Nice.
I don't know
I like that.
if anyone knows this. Does anyone know at what age Yoda became a Jedi Master?
Yes, 102.
Did you just pull that out of your ass?
1,000%. But it sounds good, right?
Well, I'm just curious, right? Like, if and when they age up Grogu.
Sure.
within the
I mean,
Star Wars
Grogu.
universe.
So Grogu's aging convention, if I did my math correctly, which I probably didn't, and I'm basing it off of Yoda's age, and
he dies around 900.
he dies around 900. Let's just say like 900 or whatever. And if we take like 900 and divide that into like the average age of like, let's say 80 or whatever.
We'll make it cleaner, right? Let's say 900 is 90.
90. So that's a 1-to-10 ratio. So then
So he's
Grogu right now, if he's like 50, 60 or whatever, he is roughly
5.
2.
No,
Wow, we're all bad at math.
He's
it's-
5.
I think it's 5.
He's 5.
He's 5 years old.
You'd be 5. Oh, yeah. Then, yeah.
Because
he'd be
if
5.
he's 50, which is
Yeah.
half of 100.
He's about 5 years old.
So if
Yeah.
you speed things up to like another 50 years or so, which would be less than 50 years, like by the time the Rey movie takes place, that's roughly, I think, maybe 25, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not 50 years.
Be 8.
So he's like
He's
8.
maybe like 8 years old. So he maybe would be be able to talk and everything. I also don't think necessarily that Grogu can't talk because of his age. I think it's also because of trauma.
Yeah. I was
from
thinking
his-
about
his
that
past.
too. I was wondering, like, they could, if and when they do age up Grogu significantly, would it be weird to start having him talk? And would he talk like Yoda? Would, like, how would that work? And
Well,
would it be
Yaddle,
weird?
who's also the same
Doesn't
species,
talk like
she
that.
does not talk the
Right.
way that Yoda talks.
Right.
I think how Yoda talks is very unique to him.
Maybe each member of this race has a unique way of communicating.
Right.
And maybe Grogu's is just babbling.
It could be. It could just be babble. Maybe he's going to become such a powerful force wielder, he'll use
Mind link.
mind discussions.
If Grogu at 50 is the equivalent of a 2-year-old, in order for him to be able to talk properly, Den will have to be dead. Or Djarin will have to be dead. Because it'll be another
Well-
50 years before he's like 4 years old.
Right, but
Well, we're thinking he's 5 though. Not
yeah,
2.
we're doing a 1-to-10 or
Yeah.
1-to-10 ratio.
So if it's like if 900 years is their lifespan, and you put
Let's
it
say
down
like
to
because
90
let's say
years.
Yoda was very old, right? By
Right.
the end,
He was
So, like-
900 years exactly.
So let's say that was like not like a 90-year-old, for example.
Right.
So it's a 1-to-10
So
ratio.
it's easy 1-to-10 ratio. So then he would be about 5.
So he should be talking.
Right, so that's why
Should
I'm
be.
saying
That's
like,
what
either he
maybe
chooses not
the
to, or there's
trauma.
trauma that's preventing him from doing
Or
that.
they don't age at the same rate.
they don't age the
It's a
same
different
way.
rate of
Yeah.
aging, whatever. It's not like
Could
a
be.
1-to-1.
Like
or
dogs.
Whatever.
Grogu
Yeah.
is immortal,
Yeah.
and he will never speak or age.
He's
Well,
like
so wait,
Bumblebee.
hold on. Let's go back and keep doing the math, even though everyone hates math. If in the normal spectrum of a human, which is when you're 90, you're done, and around 5 you're supposed to be talking, right? So that's what 40 or 85-year difference.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a 50-year-old. Well, no. So yeah, it's 50 years though. So 850. So maybe then is it doubled? Is it tripled? Like, do you have to be 15 in human years, which is 150 in Grogu years, and then he can talk? I don't know. I'm confusing myself.
Doesn't it come down to how quickly they can learn things? And that
Right.
wouldn't that mean then that if Grogu can't learn to talk while being around people who talk for 50 years, that he's just really slow to get it?
He's either slow to get it, or he's incapable of talking.
Or he just doesn't want to talk.
Also true.
I
Are
sometimes
we
don't
sure
wanna
he
talk.
hasn't spoken any actual words
Correct,
from a
no
different
words.
language?
We do know. So we do know in season 2, Grogu and Ahsoka talk with the Force, right?
Yes.
That's how we learn about his name and some of the experiences when they're kind of communicating with the Force. So he knows how to communicate in different ways, right? And then we see him in this season communicate with IG-12 using the buttons, and he obviously understands what people are saying. When people talk to him, he knows what they're saying, but he is not speaking words.
Right.
So maybe then Djarin not only to help his son, which is weird to me, by the way. I think it's weird they made him his son. They learn to communicate through the Force instead of through words.
Well, Din isn't tapped into the Force. So that's gonna be.
But he
tricky.
can. Anybody can tap into
Well, it
the
depends.
Force.
Are we going after Ryan Johnson's idea of the
Absolutely.
Force, or are we going what they've said?
Well, you
George
already said in
Lucas's,
this podcast that other species were able to wield the Force that weren't Jedi.
Right, no, the
so
Force-
like you don't need to be a Jedi. To
No,
wield
no,
the
but
Force.
you have to be able to tap into the Force. Not everyone in the Star Wars universe is able to tap into the Force free willy style.
I think they are.
If you go off George Lucas's explanation, it's all based off your midichlorian count.
right. So if your miracle
Now,
count ain't high enough,
if that is still true or not, that's a different question.
But George Lucas did say that the midichlorians are themselves of the Force, and that they can be like bacteria. They can be absorbed by anybody.
I mean, that's what Gideon was trying to do. Whether he was successful or not, we don't know. 'cause
Yeah, so
Din
if-
destroyed everything.
He destroyed all his toys.
So if Din Djarin gets a transfusion of midichlorians, he'll be able to mind link.
So if he
Grogu.
has a severe wound in season 4 and Grogu has to provide blood, that transfusion will give Din Djarin the ability to communicate
But
via the Force.
let's back up a second. Let's just use basic physics here. I don't think Grogu has enough blood in him to
Also-
give Din
also
any kind of
human-
blood transfusion.
Also, like
It's bigger on
humans
the
can't even
inside.
give each other like blood. Like you have to be a certain blood type. So species to species blood might be even tougher.
It's science
Is his
fiction.
blood even
Anything
red?
can happen.
Could be
This is
blue.
true.
But Gideon was doing that.
Well, we don't know what he was doing.
But he was using his blood.
You know, it's very
the
possible.
Force.
It's very possible that Gideon thought he had figured it out, and really, all he had done was like
Just clone
made a
himself.
blueberry. I don't know.
Made a blueberry.
Yes, I'm hungry. That's why I'm thinking blueberries. You know, I'm really hungry when I'm thinking about eating fucking fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's ask that big question so I can go and eat some fruit.
Who are you?
Arjuna, would you like to start us off?
Yes.
Well, go for it then.
Ooh.
Krishna
Yes.
was the Mandalorian season 3 good?
I'm gonna say yes. Whoa. And I'm gonna say without the last 2 episodes, I would have been no. But I enjoyed the last 2 episodes quite a bit. I would agree with Arjuna that the first 6 were it was disjointed. Some
Uneven.
episodes were
Uneven.
uneven. Yes, some episodes were much better than others. And also, like the first 6 episodes, I just found myself being very meh about more than half of it. So, that's why I was like, I really don't know. The last 2 episodes, though, I had a lot of fun. I actually liked the goofiness of like some of the leaps in logic of the last 2 episodes. To me, it feels more Star Wars. Like when seeing that stuff. So and the action sequences were cool, and kind of like Learman said, that last shot, I loved it. I mean, when they're sitting out there by their cabin and got the little circle closing in on them, and he's torturing a frog. I'm a big fan of that. It's that just did it for me. So I'm not a psycho.
It's just a frog.
It's just a frog, bro. It's
Krishna,
fine.
we should get you a frog. We should get you a pet frog.
I'll kill it. I'm gonna pull a Grogu and kill it. So yeah, it was good, just barely, but it was good.
Burley.
Burley.
Ravi, was season 3 of The Mandalorian good?
I have tattoos on my skin.
Oh, you're invested, literally. Right, you've literally got skin in the game.
I literally have skin in the game, and thankfully they did not disappoint. And yes, it was a good season. But I just want to put that disclaimer out.
I have it on my skin.
It's almost like Disney's holding you hostage, and you're like, I have to say yes.
I mean, it's self-inflicted hostage situation, I guess.
Clearly,
Nobody told me to do this, except that voice in my head.
blink twice if they did tell you to do this.
On my head.
Arjuna, Was Mandalorian season 3 good? And if you say no, I will tickle you.
Well, I was going to say yes, but now Fuck.
Please, for the love of God, say yes.
Yeah, it was good. It was not my favorite season of the show. I do think the show lost itself a little bit with this season.
Just thought of Eminem's like "Lose Yourself."
Lose yourself. You know, I think like some of the unevenness and the disjointedness of the season really shone through, as kind of Christian had mentioned, as we talked about earlier in the episode. And this was the first season of The Mandalorian where it didn't feel like appointment television to me. Like the first 2 seasons, I would stay up till midnight, and I was really excited every week. And this season, it was just like, oh, it's Mandalorian's coming out tonight. Like, oh, okay, cool.
But you know, there's a massive difference though. Like the biggest difference, I think, and I think the people need to be made aware of this. The biggest difference between like this season and the other 2 seasons of Mandalorian is you're in your fucking 30s. And staying up past midnight is a chore.
It's not even about the staying up part. It's about the excitement of like watching the show. And at times, like watching the show felt like a chore. It didn't feel like I was necessarily enjoying it as much, right? And I think some of that comes down to the storytelling and the excitement that I got out of the show. It didn't resonate as much with me this season. And
another reason too.
And I think part of that goes back to even like one of my big criticisms for last season with season 2 is it felt like they opened up the world way too much, right? Remember I was on this pod, was like being like, there's just too much going on, connecting to stuff, and everyone was loving it, and I was like, well. And I feel like that kind of hurt this season a little bit too, because you then had to open up the world even more, right? So I kind of do hope my bold prediction comes true a little bit, where we get back to basics a little bit and go back to season 1, which I really enjoyed. And sometimes everything doesn't have to connect, and it doesn't have to be like this large narrative. And sometimes it's just you want to show, and you just want to go along for the journey and see where it goes.
One other big difference too is you had this little show called Andor come out, and I wonder, at least for me personally, if I enjoy the season more if I never see Andor, because Andor to me has changed what a Star Wars show is capable of. So it's hard not to make comparisons, but you're going to do it anyway. So
was Andor this year?
It was like late last year.
Okay.
It started in September and went through November.
Wow, it feels like it was this year.
I mean, what is it? What is a year?
It was like
time is confusing.
A long time ago. It wasn't a long time ago.
It feels so fresh though. It's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe because of Celebration, actually. That probably makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yes. Interesting.
Wow. I'm shocked you said yes, Juno.
I am too, actually. That's the biggest shocking.
I was on the border.
Thing.
But I think like.
Oh, how's that wall?
What?
You said you were on the border. How's the wall?
Wow.
I was on the border, but like I think just the last few weeks, I was just able to enjoy the show a little bit more. Just to be like, oh, this is kind of a good time. I think like as I was going into the season, I was like, this is one of my favorite shows. And halfway through the season, I was like, this is like a show that I watch and enjoy. Oh, wow. And like, that's it, So like, I think like kind of resetting my expectations a little bit helped. And I'm curious to like go back and rewatch the season and see if I enjoy it more altogether, and maybe without the weight of expectations, like it's been 2 years since we got season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, it was 2021.
I think I built up my personal expectations for this show a lot.
Right.
And so like, as we've talked about before, it's like there's a danger in that sometimes when you overhype yourself up for something and it doesn't necessarily
I'm very curious
beat that.
To see like how long is it going to be between
season 3
now and whenever the next season is, like, because obviously we've got we have Ahsoka coming out, we have Skeleton Crew also coming out, which is also set in the same roughly time period as well. And as far as I'm aware, again, nothing has been greenlit, no pre-production, no set film dates have been set up. So you could probably argue you're not going to get it like in a year, like the first half of 2024. So it's very possible we don't see it till end of 2024 or
Who
start
knows,
2025. So, and that is quite a while, honestly. That's not any short period of time.
Christian will be in his 40s.
He will be in his 40s, yeah.
Yeah, we're aging him up.
Yeah.
We're doing a time jump for him.
Yeah,
I'm not good at math.
We're
but
recasting Krishna as an older person.
Older Krishna.
Older Krishna, yes.
You're recasting me as a 40-year-old.
Yeah, and I'm going to recast myself as a 22-year-old.
Oh, you can do the young casting.
Yep, you're casting.
We're gonna
For some
finally
reason,
get some
that made me
female
puke a little bit.
representation.
Oh.
And that's going to do it for us here in Was It Good. Thank you, as always, for jumping in and listening. As always, you can find our full podcast on youtube.com/wasitgood. Check us out on TikTok and Instagram at wasitgoodpod, and on Twitter, if you still use it, at wasitgood. Check out our website, wasitgood.info. Our next podcast is going to be on Power Rangers, I believe.
Maybe.
We haven't decided yet. So, again, follow us on socials to figure out what we're doing next. Till the next time, we are all in this room together.
All in this together.